poem that I wrote when I wasn't very happy. I actually wrote this a year ago, but again, in our culture, we are told that if we're beautiful, if we're skinny, if we're successful, famous, if we fit in, if everyone loves us, that we'll be happy. But that's not entirely true.
Funny how we end up here. Never saw us giving up. I know you thought you shut me up, shut me.
All right, we're going to get started here. Just give us a few more moments. And welcome, everyone. I would advise that everybody does prayers and anointing with oil so we can hopefully bless this broadcast. Keep Lucifer out, command him out. And I'm praying, Yahweh, give us a blessing with this broadcast and spreading the truth. And I command you, Lucifer, in the name of Yeshua Messiah, to get out of here. Amen. live. All right. Miss Olive Branch, we are live. Are you there?
Oh, we're live
We are.
now?
We are live.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm sorry. I'm in the other room. I'm coming. Here I go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm coming right now. I'm
All
right
right.
back.
We have 6 people that have joined us, so welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. I was playing some
That's so funny. That's bad.
I was playing some music in the background and asking for everybody to pray and oil and anoint and cast Lucifer out of here for tonight. I'm hoping we have a stream that doesn't get shut down or spin too much out of control here to where we're able to talk and have fellowship. So I commanded Lucifer out, and like I said, everybody anoint those computers, cast Lucifer out, send him packing.
Very, very good. That is so funny. I mean, I'm not your prayer that I was in the other room when you came on.
We were on the countdown.
We were on the countdown. Very good. Very good.
And I will, let's see, as I said, hello everyone. I'm going to go ahead and pull up. Hello, Chad. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Chad.
I am going to pull up something here in the background. And like I said, I guess we might be buffering a little bit because I see it a buffering. Buffer away.
Buffer away.
I'm even I'm hard lined in tonight, so.
Oh, you are? That is excellent. That is excellent.
Well, let's hope it helps.
So far, it's doing really good so far. And I anointed too, so I did.
I'm going to try, and I might actually not do it that way. I don't have the background, that funny background with the pictures and stuffs on my side. So we will just have to do it like I have an idea here. I'm going to try to use as less bandwidth as I can because you know that I'm on satellite internet. So I'm going to not be able to have live videos playing, but I'm going to be using different things so we can at least listen to stuff, and I think that'll work for all of us. And that way my bandwidth is kind of going between 2 things I got going on here.
Sounds excellent.
Try my best here. And I don't know if you have it open. Do you have the live stream open? Is it doing all right, or can everybody hear us?
It's doing good. I have it open. It's doing good. There's no buffering. There's no wheel.
Oh, good. Hi, Gulp. I'm going to see if I can't switch this to live screen. Well, it's not exactly what I wanted.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm trying to get everything placed in its right place. I kind of forgot to do that previously.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Go figure, right?
No, that is the story of me too. That's what I do as well.
It's just what happens.
It's exactly what happens.
But that's okay. I got it now, and it's good enough. I'm not going to be too picky tonight with how all that comes up in the screen. So, whatever. It is what it is.
There you go.
We won't make it too hard for ourselves.
There you go.
All right, so I see it on the screen. All right. Against the Flow. Hello. We got 9 people in here now. All right. This is going to be a hot
Excellent
show tonight. All right. So, now we kind of come across quite a wowzer tonight. And I'm getting my notes. I've got them backwards here. But what I oh boy, I got them all over the place. I'm trying to actually keep all my studies and the notes I'm taking, and I'm going to put them in a binder. And I got some really nice paper that has these little guards so the holes don't rip, and I'm going to put them in a binder. And I'm just pretty darn excited tonight. So
I am very excited too.
I thought that maybe we could start this off because we've been actually, you and I, Olive, have been trying to do this for quite a while. And I think it's really important that we start off with Daniel chapter 8, verse 1, because this is exactly what's happening right now. And if it's okay with all of you, I would sure like to play Daniel chapter 8. And if you want to stop, you want to talk about something, point something out, or just let this only from chapter 8 to chapter 8, 9, and then we can stop it and kind of relate to what's going on, current events. I've got some things, some reports I can pull up. I want to talk about Israel being surrounded, but I really, really want to do pretty much uninterrupted from chapter 8, 8:1 to 8:9, and I would suggest everybody grab a piece of paper, get your Bible out, get a highlighter, get a pen, because you're going to want to write this down. Is that okay with everybody?
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start us with Daniel. That's 11. I pulled up the wrong one. Chapter 8, verse 1. And I'm not going to have a video playing in the background because that takes up my bandwidth. I'm going to actually be using my cell phone, and we're just going to listen to it, if that's okay.
That's perfect. That is perfect.
So I'll probably switch the screen then to just our live scene so I don't have anything floating around in the background and causing me a commotion.
Sounds good.
All right, so here we go. If everybody's ready, you got your Bibles open to Daniel 8. We're going to start with verse 1. And get out a piece of paper and a pen, because I'm telling you, and a highlighter, because you're going to want to write this down, and you're going to want to go over it, and that's okay. Somebody got offended and said, well, don't tell me to re-go over a study. Go re-go over it. Trust me, I've been going over it for like a month over and over and over, and I am just so happy right now. That time is coming. We're approaching those days, and I'm excited, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I tried to talk a little bit so you guys were ready to have your Bibles and everything, because it's important that you read it for yourself. Okay, so here we go. And make sure if you guys can't hear it, you tell me.
Welcome to the Shepherd's Chapel Network Family Bible Study Hour with Pastor Arnold Murray. Wisdom is understanding God's Word. Pastor Murray's unique teaching approach brings God's Word alive with meaning as he takes you on a chapter-by-chapter, verse-by-verse study of God's letter to you, the Bible. And now here is Pastor Arnold Murray.
Good day to you. God bless you. Say, welcome to the Shepherd's Chapel. Welcome to this family Bible study hour. Chapter 8, the great book of Daniel, which being translated is My God is Judge, and boy is he judge. And judging this world today, we find what an example he sets forth for us in giving us the information in Daniel and Revelation as to what would consummate the end of this age. Now, we pick up with chapter 8, and we have a change here. We go back to pure Hebrew, whereas it has been Syriac or Chaldean or Aramaic, whichever you wish to use, from back when the captivity began up till this time. So I like to think that these prophecies have to do with our coming out of Babylon or coming out of confusion, whereby you have a clearer understanding of our Father's Word. Now, chapter 8 is still a chapter that chronologically comes before even chapter 6, because Belteshazzar, this will be his final year, and we go back to that, I feel, most likely because he was the last king of Babylon in history, but is a type of that king of Babylon that comes, which is to say the false Messiah. So having said that, we switch from the language of the captivity to the language of freedom. And here it goes, chapter 8, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belteshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after, and it would be about 2 years later, after that which appeared unto me at the first. In other words, that first vision he had, here is another. About 2 years later, Daniel now at this time will be about 87 years old. Verse 2, and I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan, and Shushan meaning lily, because of the amount of lilies that grew there, in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and Elam means eternity. I think you're beginning to get the point. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river Ulai, which is to say pure water. Now, where is this geographically? You need to know. It's at the head of the Persian Gulf. The Ulai is a little river stream that runs into the Tigris. And naturally the Tigris and the Euphrates running along basically side by side and for some distance. But here you have this little input. And no doubt this palace is where Daniel was when the 3 Hebrew children were in the fiery furnace. But here he is, and he's in a place where today would be Iran. So that you know where you're at and what's going on, because it has a great deal to do with even prophecy today. Verse 3, then I lifted up mine eyes, and I saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up first. Well, the high one was Persia, and the other was Media. Okay, it was Media-Persia, and that would be the meaning of the ram. Verse 4: I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. They conquered Babylon. And what Daniel is seeing here is the fall of Babylon. And he also sees events that will transpire in the end times, and we will come to them in this chapter. Verse 5, and as I was considering Behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And of course, this horn is Alexander, and is from Greece. And he would push westward. He would conquer the entire area. Verse 6. And he came to the ram that had two horns, Medo-Persia, which I had seen. So far, this is history, but it is a type of what's going to happen at the end. Seen standing before the river, and ran into him in the fury of his power. There has never been in this area. This is switching from that would be greed, maybe, and property ownership to religion. And that's what we have today. All the battles we have going today are over religious, or for religious reasons, or so some would think. Though some religions can, when it goes to the extreme, brings about insanity when people start blowing themselves up and so forth, especially children. 7. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler, that's bitter bile, against him, very bitter, and smote the ram and brake his two horns. In other words, he took down Medo-Persia. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. What you might consider is you're seeing the very first dream back in chapter 2 that he had of the great golden head, which was Babylon, and so on down it goes. Well, that's what you're seeing, is these units and nations that control this area as they're coming down. Medo-Persia, now we have Alexander, which is to say Greece. Verse 8. Therefore, the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. And here we have those four winds again, and anytime you have them, you want to be careful. They mean the end. Here is where it switches to religion, if you would. Because, as we noted in chapter 7 of the book of Daniel, as well as the chapter 7 of the great book of Revelation, and 3:7 in Ezekiel, chapter 37, the four winds always bring about the end of time, of this dispensation of time. And when that end comes to pass, then we know that this particular dispensation of time is finished. Verse 9, and out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. That would even be Jerusalem. And this little horn, of course, you will see who that is. Verse 10, it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. And of course, this is the coming of the false Messiah. He will stamp many to the ground because they will give up their professed belief. That's what apostasy is changing your professed belief in an instant, meaning you worship the true Christ, but if they're ignorant that the false comes first, they switch to the false Christ, switching their religion instantly. That's what apostasy is. Verse 11, the great apostasy, I should say. Verse 11, yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Now, you have to know, what is this daily sacrifice? Well, it was sacrificial offerings of animals. Well, when was that done away with? 33 AD, when Christ one and for all times where it would be written in Hebrews chapter 10, Lo, I come in the volume of the book, the offering for sin for one and all times. And so it was. It is sacrilegious for anyone to think they must offer an animal for a sacrifice of sins today, when Christ, the highest sacrifice there could ever be, because he was perfect, and he was sacrificed for us, that in repenting and loving him, he gives us eternal life, whereby we overcome sin and death into eternal life. But here we see this false one, that he comes in the middle of the week and takes away the daily sacrifice. Why? Because you will find in the 9th chapter, he claims to be Christ, and he wants the sacrifice to be taken to him. That is to say, worshipped. He wishes to be worshipped as Messiah. And you will find in the 9th chapter he accomplishes it. We have several chapters here that lead up to and explain in detail the end times. You just have to relax and enjoy and sort it out. But here, from the very sanctuary itself, means the Holy of Holies. Verse 12, and an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of what? Transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. In other words, the truth is what? It's the Word of God. This one is going to cast down our Father's Word, stand against him, and as Paul would warn in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, he intends to stand in the holy place claiming to be God. This is before Christ returns to us. Are you mentally equipped and spiritually equipped to handle that? Because God's election, or those that truly love the Lord, have somewhat to do. And that is to be a witness and to uphold that truth. And never shall it totally be cast to the ground, because we will not stand for it. We will always witness that truth. And that truth is Christ, the true Christ, not the fake, not the fraud. 13, then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long, here comes a question, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, that is to say, of the desolator, Antichrist, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? In other words, how long is this going to be? From the sanctuary being trodden underfoot until the cleansing. Verse 14, your answer. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days. Then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Then shall it be vindicated. Then shall God's own discretion and vengeance, the day of vengeance shall come, and vindication shall take place. Now, what does this mean then? Well, first of all, you would need to be familiar with God's Word enough to know when was the last time the sanctuary was cleansed. I mean, Belshazzar, who was the king of Babylon at this time, had gone and emptied the temple of the holy vessels. Drew a big drunk with them. It certainly wasn't then. And then from history, you know that you have to go all the way back to Joshua chapter 23, verse 13, where God makes it very clear. I'm going to cleanse the sanctuary, but I'll never cleanse it again until the end. And so you have the answer to the parable, that it will be trodden underfoot. And it was at the passing of Moses, I mean, almost instantly, the sanctuary was filthy again. And so it was, that it has been trodden underfoot. As a matter of fact, what does it mean? Well, it means that Gentiles will control the very sacred place, which is the rock. And that rock signifying Christ and the place that the true Holy of Holies stands. And certainly it is still controlled even to this day by Gentiles. And it shall be until God vindicates and until God cleanses it. Well, how long is this 2,300 days? Well, you're going to find out that God gives us a formula in chapter 11 and 12, especially chapter 12, to know kind of how to figure this, whereby this precedent is set. And today we know the final generation, the generation of the fig tree, because of the knowledge that God gives us from his word, that naturally that generation of the fig tree, which would be the final generation, because all prophecy would come to pass within that period of time. And you have that written in Mark chapter 13, where all prophecies would be fulfilled in the generation of the fig tree. That's why you're supposed to learn it. So I will say one more time, this you will find a common denominator of 1.484, which would bring this point up to Pentecost Day 1981, when Mount St. Helens erupted. And what a wonderful time. And what a benchmark to let the final generation know and understand. Put that on the shelf for the time being, and we'll go much deeper into that in the 12th chapter. Verse 15. And it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then, behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. It's a man right there standing before me. 16. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulna, that's to say pure water, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. Now, well, what does Gabriel mean in the Hebrew tongue? It means God's man. So you've got God's man right here, and he's going to explain this to Daniel. Now, I'm going to check you out just a little bit. Well, Gabriel did. Gabriel explained the whole thing. No, God instructed Gabriel how to explain the whole thing. Don't ever take anything away from God, or you're looking for trouble. Gabriel was a servant of the living God. And Gabriel followed the instructions that the angel of the Lord had instructed. 17. It was the Lord's doings, is what I mean. 17. And he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and I fell down on my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. In other words, this is not for now. It's for the end of the time, which means it's in this generation, the generation of the fig tree. Verse 18. As he was speaking with me, I was in deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. God always wants you to be upright. He doesn't want you down on the ground. Verse 19. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. I'm going to show you exactly how it's going down. Verse 20, the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. Now, there's no mystery there. All laid out from God himself. 21, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, that's Alexander. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. And certainly would be Alexander, but also through prophecy and through history, many things can transpire with types. 22. Now, that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nations, but not in his power, but naturally in Satan's power. This turns religious. 23. And in the latter time, when was that again? In the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of furious countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And of course, this is the false Messiah. This is the Antichrist. This is what some would call the false prophet. But it all comes in the power of Satan. Verse 24, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully. That means with peace, not war. Don't you get caught in that crack. War is not how the end comes to pass. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, the end is not yet. But when you hear of peace, 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 you better be real careful. And shall prosper and practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. With what? If it were possible, he would. He will make a stab at it. He will not get it done. Why? We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. Why? Because we have a captain, and that captain is the Lord, the true Christ. And the truth always reigns supreme. A lie cannot stand in front of it. This is why it's written, as I mentioned in the last lecture in Luke 21, that what you say when the Holy Spirit speaks through you, even the gainsayers will be convinced by what you say. And how fantastic it is that our Father uses his children. But this person, you know, many people will be deceived because all these so-called religious, so-called voices, they picture the coming of the end as war and terrible calamity, and they don't understand that that terrible calamity is the power of Satan causing the whole world to worship him. It doesn't get any lower than that. And you talk about, you know, what they're worried about is people murdering people. He murders souls. By that I mean he misleads them away from the true God by peace and prosperity. Not war, not anger, and this is what deceives people. They will not listen to God's word. They must beat the drums of anger and involvement, even though God says when you hear wars and rumors of wars in the New Testament, Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, the end's not yet. That's not when it happens. But when they cry peace, peace, which is the opposite of war, you better watch out.
All right, guys. So I'm going to stop it there because there is a whole heck of a lot to talk about just within Daniel chapter 8. Okay? I do want to reiterate the fact, and if anybody would like me to post the proof of this, I will be on that like white on rice. When we have wars and rumors of wars, know that the time is not yet. But when we have wars and rumors of wars, please reference the video War and Peace by Shepherd's Chapel with Pastor Murray. When we have wars and rumors of wars, but yet at the same time we have peace talks, we have religious war, better get your head out of the sand because we're looking for you know who, all right? Now, I made some notes, and Daniel chapter 8, verse 2, this shows you, I want to not point anybody out. I don't do that. Pastor Murray has taught us not to do that, so I will listen to him as I try to do. This is not, the horn is not the United Nations. Please do not let false preachers and these people claiming that they're coming in the name of God steer you in the wrong direction, because by doing that, you're going to miss the bus. They have your head turned left when it should be centered, okay? This shows you that the horn is Iran. When Daniel was shown this, he was standing in Iran, okay? Verse 8:3, the two horns, Medo-Persia. It's the ram. This is Iran of today. Okay? That's your proof right there. And 8:6. In his vision, and even in the beginning of Daniel, it shows kind of like a type. It's a religious war. This is when you really got to start waking it up here and looking, because it is possible. It's either the starting, or could be possible. We got to keep our eyes open. It could be possible, since this has turned into a religious war. You got to remember, Iran said that they did that last whole blowing up and taking all of those Saudi Arabian soldiers and killing hundreds of them and capturing. They took their tanks. If you've seen the video on YouTube, they did it on foot. So I'm kind of like, that was really weird. But anyways, they did that in the name of the victory of Allah. That is a religious war. Okay, so you really got to think about it here. In chapter 8, verse 7, the notable ones are the four winds that God had stopped previously and said, whoa, do not go upon the earth until mine elect are sealed with the knowledge. Those four winds, which are proven in Revelation chapters 11 and 12, are what consummates the end of this earth age. Thank you, God. Okay? When the horn of Iran is broken, this is Lucifer's entrance. This is what this is saying. The horn is broken.
And can I say something just really fast, just so where people can gather what you're saying? Now, see what Amber's trying, or what El Shaddai, I'm so sorry, is trying to say is that the horn is what destroys Iran. That's what she's trying to say, because we know that that the horn is a type of the first king. Okay, right. So it's the horn that is used to destroys Iran. Exactly. So when the horn is broke, Iran is taken out. Either that is if they willfully enter in, that is either by force or whatever. That can mean that the leader of the Iran, their leader's still there, or he's not. It could be like a Saddam Hussein type thing.
It won't be war.
Either way. Yeah, exactly. So that's. I just wanted to reiterate that, just so folks know what you're saying, because they'll jump in and go, "Whoa, the horn is not Iran." No. But it all correlates. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, it's using symbology, and the horn is used to break Medo-Persia. So okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
No, I'm glad you did that, because then people won't misunderstand.
I
get excited
because folks do find. Yeah, and folks they will find any ounce of just to try to twist what you're saying.
Well, that's Lucifer's
and I just took that away. Okay, very good, very good.
And so basically in 8:7, those are the winds that bring upon the end. When this happens and Iran's taken down, however that is, those four winds are released, and guess who else is? Lucifer. That's his entrance. It causes, people are, I've heard some comments where people are saying, well, the apostasy is taking place right now. Well, the apostasy takes place when Lucifer's here, because it'll be causing people to switch their religion immediately, because they believe He's Christ, okay? And they immediately switch over. Boom, that's the apostasy, okay? So you can relate this right now to what's going on in Iran. I mean, it's like right in front of our face. And all of you brought up, and I can't remember, I'd like you to say it, about the winter in Daniel's...
Yeah, Shushan. It means lily, but it was also the winter residence of the Persian kings. And then you also have another part, and I have to get the verse that is in. It's the autumn, which is the same as winter. It's the residence. So this is the season that we are in. We are in their season. So this is interesting.
That's important.
Very important.
And I wanted to make a note, and you can go ahead and look up the study by Pastor Murray and get deeper into it. You remember when Pastor Murray said that those who control the rock is where the wound happens? Well, the Gentiles control the rock. So...
Yes.
And that's not the true Christians. That's not us. That's why it's not going to hurt us. It's going to hurt the Gentiles, not the body of Christ. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate any on the Gentiles, because you've got the words for that. No?
Are you talking to me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was reading Daniel 8 in the Septuagint. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was going to read that because the way that it was worded. I'm sorry. What did you say?
That when Pastor Murray said the deadly wound happens to those who sit upon the rock, it's the Gentiles who control the rock, and they will until Jesus comes back to cleanse it.
Oh, yes, most definitely. And just like Pastor Murray pointed out, the sanctuary will not be cleansed until the seventh trump. And I highly recommend folks to read the book of Lamentations. That gives a very good spiritual aspect of what is going on in Judea. And grab some tissues because it's some heavy stuff. I mean, it really is. It will make you cry. And that is our Heavenly Father's. That is his favorite place. That is where Christ is going to put his throne, all three in one. And what a day that will be. I was going to read Daniel 8, verse 8, in the what it says in the ABP when it's translated into the Greek. I find that really intriguing. It says, "And the he-goat of the goats was magnified even unto exceedingly. And in his being strong, his great horn was broken. And there ascended underneath him 4 horns unto the 4 winds of heaven." I find that quite intriguing how that reads.
Well, those are those 4 nations who stand up, not in their power, but in Lucifer's power. 4 nations.
Power, yeah.
And I'm trying to look into current times right now. And I just wanted to kind of bring this to your attention that Iraq has now threatened to annihilate Israel. Syria is saying they will annihilate Israel. Iran, of course, today they just came out. They've been threatening it every day. They said, "We have you surrounded. We have our missiles pointed to you." Iraq today just took over Iran today just took over an Iraqi base, and they are setting up missiles that are pointed, missile drones that are going, they're saying they're going to send them to Israel. And what other, and the Palestine said we are waging holy war against Israel. Israel had to close down all of their public schools today, all of their businesses, any place where the public congregates, they shut down because there is such tension and threats of them being annihilated. Iran said you'll have to go pick up the tiny pieces of Tel Aviv in the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, this is getting intense.
It's getting very intense. And I think for the he-goat, I think it is Israel and the United States. I really do. Because
probably along with a couple other nations, because we got the UK, France, and Germany also agreeing. It's possible.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, I mean, it's a straight up porno, spiritually, of how much that they do with Israel. I mean, if
Yeah,
we
I
got
agree.
a visual to that stuff, I mean, if we got a visual to the spiritual fornication, what they do with Israel, we would all have to go outside and throw up because
Right.
I mean, it's a nasty, nasty spiritual aspect there. I mean, that's just straight up fornication. So, you make a very good point. And they all are coming up together. And and that French guy too, who it just happens to be a
Macron.
socialist. And he is a socialist. And
He
Trump
makes me
calls
want
him
to
a prick.
vomit.
So,
He makes me want to
yeah,
vomit.
he makes me want to vomit too.
He's
Yeah,
a little
but
gay
he's a great
boy.
dude. That is so funny.
He let
Okay.
he let that group while he was growing up do him in the rear end. So that's just disgusting. But that's another
Wow. I
another
wonder
porno
if
show.
him and the Canada guy hang out, spend weekends
maybe.
together.
Oh man.
As he dressed up for the little French boy. I'm so sorry. That's so funny to me.
I'm puking.
I have to
now.
find humor in this stuff because it is some nasty, 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 nasty stuff. So I just go to humor. And that is just me and it's stupid and I'm sorry. But
No, that's what we need to do, or we're just gonna cry. Oh.
right? It's just nasty. And all I could see is that
Abominations.
Canadian guy dressing up in a ballerina outfit. That's just terrible.
Probably, and
Okay.
spinning around with Macron and the others.
Yeah.
And Trump.
Yeah.
He's got
And
a
they're all
tutu
going
on,
up
too.
against. Yeah. In Iran, they don't want to enter in. So it'll be interesting to see just how they're taken out. And I have a feeling it's going to be like a Kim Jong-un. Just one day we're going to wake up. One day we are going to wake up and Iran's going to enter in.
Well,
And they're going to say that they came to an agreement.
They've already welcomed in Saudi Arabia, and they said, okay, we're ready to make a political, peaceful deal. That's with the E3, which is, right now the E3 is China, the United States, and Russia. Hello. Okay, don't forget about Russia. Except Russia at this point is going behind our backs with China and hiding the fact that Iran was behind those attacks. And they're causing trouble. They're causing an upset, which Pastor Murray has said definitively that the deadly wound, because when he talks about in the deadly wound update, he talks about those horses and that they came back and his agents came back and reported when they went to China and they went to the North Country, which is the bear country, and he came back and reported to God that, hey, it started and God was pleased. So this whole behind our back kind of thing is starting that deadly wound, because it's going to start that disagreement that's going to make this fall through, that Lucifer has to come heal. I mean, that's just plain and simple. You can't get around that. It just is what it is.
Yeah. And something has, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, don't take the rubber check to the bank. Just take it as what it is. In my opinion, so this is my opinion, quote unquote opinion, okay? Something's going to happen to Israel because Satan's going to enter in with the Kenites. That's the small group of people that he enters in on. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
They're the Goyim.
So
the Kenites are the Goyim.
Yeah, they are the real Goyim. So, and I have a lot of Goyim jokes, and so does Nicole. We love the Goyim jokes. It's so funny. And
Daniel, what is this? Daniel 11, 23. It speaks about that Goyim, and it says after, when Lucifer enters in, and this proves what she just said, he will be coming in strong with his small people, which are the Goyim. It's the Kenites. But it's peacefully. We're not going to have bombs going off and all these things that people are making all these movies about the end of the world and God, it's just catastrophe. Yeah. That's Lucifer's
Armageddon.
Yeah, it's not that. It's going to be nice.
But there's something really important that I need to point out. Okay. this really prominent rabbi, and I need to get the video, he says there's two Mashiachs. One is going to be a political leader, and the next one is going to be their actual Messiah. And the reason why I'm saying this is because many folks are looking for a man of sin, a flesh man. And if you had one of their Moshiach, like let's say Jared, stand up and they say he's the Moshiach, many folks are going to think that that is Satan. And then when the real instead of Christ, which is the Antichrist, it means instead of Christ, stands up and is proclaiming to be Christ, folks are going to fall hood, line, and sinker, because they're going to say, hey, there's the man of sin, there's Satan, that's the number 6, and there's the number 7. So I'm going to say that it's really important that people do a pinch test. Just pinch yourself if you have to. As long as you're still in the flesh, the true Christ is not here, because you have to read 1 Corinthians 15:52 at the last trump, when we are transformed into our spiritual bodies. That's when Christ comes, the real Christ, our King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So I think that that's going to be a part of the deception too. I think that and that would definitely get the rapture folks too. So
Right.
Be ready. It's kind of like when Christ said, for when they say, lo, I am here, or lo, I am there.
Don't
They say
go.
I'm in the secret place or the desert. Don't go. Don't believe it.
I know that I'm going to have some backlash, because I usually do. So if you guys can bear with me, I'm going to prove what I said real quick about the war and peace at the same time. I think it's about 10 minutes long from Pastor Murray, but I think it's very important that people don't miss the bus on that, and don't miss the fact that right now, yes, there's wars and rumors of wars, but there's also peace at the same time, and that's your dangerous moment. So I'm just going to play this really quick. It could be 5 minutes if that's okay, just to back up
That's
what we're
perfect.
saying. Okay.
And I would just like to say hi to John, so he doesn't feel like that we were cutting him out. I totally forgot. I wasn't even thinking, and I am so sorry, John. And you've been here the entire time.
And I know he's got some
That's
important
okay. I'm learning too, so that's fine.
Very good. Okay,
Okay.
I'll go on mute now, Al, and you go on ahead and go.
Okay, sounds good. Here we go. And then we'll go ahead, and I know John's got a lot of good stuff to say, and we're going to get rip-roaring. I just think it's very important to back up what we say biblically, and I'm sorry, I believe every word that Pastor Murray teaches. He teaches it from the Bible. I don't stray from it, but this proof is proof in the pudding, like Jello. Here we go.
You know, if you make a peace agreement, usually it is determined that it is an agreement that there will never be another war. How many of those have been made? And people always forget what our Father says in His Word. They will cry peace, 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 but there shall be no peace. As long as we have Satan as the prince of air, as prince of the air in this world age, there will be controversy and there will be war. And you must always, as a Christian, think and know and realize there are two wars. There's a spiritual war and there is a flesh war. And many might say, as it is written, and one of the reasons you want to always keep up, in Mark chapter 13, verse 7, what does it say? It says, when you hear of wars and rumors of wars, the time is not yet, but these things must come to pass. So what you have to be careful of is when the spiritual war and the physical war join hands, and all wars become a religious war, or a spiritual war, so to speak. Then you're getting very close to the time you want to be very watchful. handoff is the right thing to do for Sunday school. And a group that truly teaches their children in Sunday school how to do your neighbor as you would want to be done yourself. We got something wrong. Okay. Something bad wrong. I mean, there's something missing up here as far as world peace goes. So with that thought, Christians, when Christianity was first founded by our Lord Jesus Christ, probably they wouldn't think about going to war because there were so few of them in the beginning. But they fought the spiritual war from day one. Satan was on their case, and you know something? He hasn't changed. But since that time, Christians have had to war. Now you will have that ilk that will say, well, God never believed in war. God is love. And when God is love, we're supposed to love everybody. Now, I've got just a little bit of advice for them. You're supposed to love everybody. Well, it would be nice if you could. But these people want to cut your head off in love. So there's something wrong. I mean, 2 and 2 doesn't make 4 in that way. But 2 and 2 do make 4 when you face the truth and know they're our enemy. And we're at war with them. Would God participate in war? Open your Bibles to 1 Kings chapter 20. 1 Kings chapter 20. We're going to pick it up about verse 27.
Okay, so I had to stand up for a minute because every time I start doing a show, my little daughter goes bonkers. So did it say in there where he was talking about the spiritual war and how we have to be careful, and that when we have war and rumors of war, we have to be careful when they also have peace at the same time? Did you guys hear it? Uh-oh. It looks like something happened to... What happened here? Is anybody there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Do we still have Olive Branch out there? I got a weird thing across my screen.
No, it was just that Zoom had been upgraded, and I don't know if she got kicked out. She might have gotten kicked out.
Yeah, let me see. It says we've got 3 people. Oh, she's still there. She's just on mute. Okay. So, John, did you hear in there where it said that we had to be careful when there's wars and rumors of wars, but peace at the same time?
Right.
Okay. That's great. Okay, so I just thought that was important because it seems like we're really kind of getting into that time here that we got to be watching really close, probably closer. I don't know how I could watch any closer, but I probably could stay up 24 hours a day, but I don't think that's humanly possible. So, but does anybody have any questions out there about what we went over? Sometimes you have to put it on the back burner and just let it sit there and pray for God to help you, and to sort it all out. But if anybody has any questions on that, this would be a great time while we're still on this subject. I know John has some great things he wants to talk about, and I'm sure Olive Branch, wherever you are out there, Olive, might have something to say too. So I don't see anybody. Of course, probably the computer's probably behind us here.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
I'll just type it. Any questions anyone has on what we went over? And that way they can see it in the chat. So I guess we'll just give people a moment to collect themselves. And you said you had some interesting stuff you wanted to talk about, John. Let's get into what you've got on the table.
Well, I don't have much to add on to that. You guys did a great job of presenting that. That's a wonderful presentation there
Oh, thank you.
on that. The part I really liked about that is how, the scenario on how the rapture crowd is going to get faked out there. I think that's a great point to bring
Yeah,
up
yeah,
because there are going to be so many people involved in that end of things that, they're living dangerously. That is some dangerous living. And I wish they'd be a little bit more alive, on that and figure it out. But I don't think that's going to happen. But
well,
it's
it would take them
know.
to read the Bible for themselves to see it, and they refuse to. So that's why they're lost. They won't read it.
Oh yeah, they won't. Whenever I get the rapture crowd and they start talking about First Thessalonians, I tell them to start reading Second Thessalonians chapter 2, and they never do it. They just never
Right.
will. And,
Right.
and I tell them about that, and it's different because having worked in a place like Las Vegas, there are people from all over the world there, and people that vacation there, people that live there, and people that work there. And so you get people whose second language is English, and you'll see them do some pretty bad syntax errors, when they say something once in a while. And I can see where it'd be easy for someone like Paul to have a few syntax errors in Greek, and things can get a little fuzzy here and there. So, I mean, it's going to happen because I've seen it happen for myself in real time.
Right. Gulp was asking, we were talking about Iran being broken, asked for how long will it be, and I in my opinion right now it's happening. I mean, they're financially broken. The United States has put tariffs so high that they can't move left, right, up, down, corner to nothing. I mean, they are choked. Now, I don't know because you just have to watch. But I think we're right on that cusp right there for Lucifer's entrance. And I don't know what it'll take to finish this all off, but we have to watch. That's the only thing we can do. But I don't think it's long. I mean, it's in process.
Well, I think a lot of things are all going to come together literally all at the same moment. I think it's going to be I think when things happen, I think it's going to be lightning fast.
Yeah.
Is what I think is going to happen.
I agree.
The exact time frame is hard to say, but I sure get that feeling. Everybody I talk to seems to have the feeling that it's going to be a lot sooner than we think. In fact, I'm starting to think that something next year is very, very possible. So, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out.
I'm more on point thinking something's going to happen within the next months. That's where I'm at with it, because, boy, I don't think it can go on for too much longer. I don't know. This is going fast. So we just got to watch. We don't know.
Things on all levels, no matter which level you look at. Politically, there's just nothing but turmoil worldwide on all political fronts. It's just turmoil.
For these are the beginning of
economic
sorrows.
Turmoil. Then there's all these, like what's going on with Iran and all that. It's just so political on top of it, on top of all these other things. Look what happened with Trudeau in Canada. Here's their golden boy. Here's their Obama. And then all of a sudden those blackface pictures showed up. And, now he's a fraction of himself, So, I mean, a lot of things are rapidly changing.
Well, it's kind of crazy. I'll tell you today. Again, night before last night, I wasn't able to sleep until about 8 a.m. I was up thinking about the end and trying to piece it together. And, okay, what is Iran really doing? Are there 4 nations standing up? Why is everybody threatening Israel? They're surrounded. Oh, my goodness. Last night, I didn't go to bed again until 8 a.m. I just laid there awake. This is to the point where my soul is bothered, and I'm like, wow, we are just getting into that time where, I mean, I'm looking for Lucifer at the door, because when Israel is surrounded by its enemies, and everybody has stated it, Israel, Iran, Syria, Iraq now, today just threatened to annihilate them. I mean, we're at that cusp where he's at the door. It's like, knock, knock, who's there? Me who? Satan, that's who. Yeah, that's who. So I'm keeping my eyes open.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, I think when it all plays out, it's going to be fast and furious. It's going to be this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. It's going to be just a real pinball game of earth-shaking events all at the same time.
Well, I was going into Daniel chapter 11, verse 20, and this is our modern day. This was speaking of the future happening. And if you want to find exactly where that goes, it's in minute 7:13 in the video. And 11:20 talks about raiser of taxes will be put out of office. Well, the highest tax we have is oil. That's the highest tax. So remember when Saudi Arabia said, Iran, if you don't make this political agreement, oil prices are going to skyrocket and collapse the economy. That's because that tax on oil is going to go so freaking high, it's going to collapse us. And he said it 3 days ago.
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, when that happens, of course, Lucifer takes over. So, I mean, things are coming to that point where so much is happening. Against the flow, yes, he is going to appear as Christ, but the reason why we speak of it as, well, Lucifer showing up is because we know who it is. So, yes, he will appear to be Christ, but we know it is the anti instead of, it is Lucifer, Apollyon. We know his name. We have that mark to know he is not Christ. So, and then you said, I thought them about having a Messiah too, because I've heard the Kenites say they are expecting a man. They are, and I think that the pretend Jews think that they already have the Messiah. I'm not too sure. They've picked, I don't know. They're nuts. They're so demonic.
Well, we're dealing with people who are very deceptive to start with. And so it's hard to know what they have up their sleeve. They could have some man that they're going to all of a sudden just kind of hoist onto the national stage, right, and do who knows what. So, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out.
Right.
So, I mean, but there's no miracles being involved unless they have like some holographic thing that they're going to be doing to try to fake certain miracles, which they could do. Have you ever seen that one video of, I think it's some baseball stadium in Korea or something, and they're doing like a in-between inning entertainment thing, and it's like this big, like a dragon is flying around through the audience, and it looks extremely real.
Yeah.
And this was done a couple of years ago.
It's creepy.
It looks extremely real. Yeah. And just saying that was a couple of years ago. I just wonder how much more they perfected it at this time.
Oh, who knows? I mean, those are the Goyim. Those are Kenite's children. That's his blood. So there is no telling what the crap they'll come up with. They just disgust me. I'm like vomiting right now. They're just so disgusting.
Yeah, they are. They're very disgusting people.
And they call themselves the chosen one. Well, I guess if it's chosen by Lucifer, they're right.
Yeah, they just stopped the sentence too early. Chosen by.
Right, they failed to say the rest of that. But we're not going to stop. We'll tell you exactly who they're chosen by. Their father, Lucifer. That's his blood. That's the Goyim. That's the Kenites. So I think we're also going to have to do a show on the seed line of Cain, because we had somebody in here yesterday who said that the Kenites, that there are no children of Lucifer that survived after the flood, and boy, that is not true.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, that we have to correct that for sure.
Yeah, so that's going to have to probably maybe tomorrow, because I need to get that right out, because that also helps people identify who our enemy is. So it's important.
Oh, without a doubt.
But that's a whole long study, so I don't want to just dip into it and dip out and cause confusion. So we'll have to do a whole show on that.
That would be a good idea, because that's a 3-week subject all unto itself.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a long one. Goodness sakes. And I don't know where Miss Olive Branch is. She's disappeared in the yonder over there. Somewhere in the
Yeah.
yonder.
They have another tornado in Oklahoma again.
Yeah, maybe she got raptured and we were left behind.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's so
Hey,
it's so weird. Oh, you know what? I wanted to ask this because now I found something very questionable to my mind, because I sure would like to know how this would fit in biblically. I read today on several and saw on several news channels that the militia in America has been dispatched and they are getting ready to take their place. And they said, we will defend the Constitution of the United States. We are ready, we are in place, and we are ready for civil war. They called it out today because they feel that they have to protect the president, because the Democrats are basically saying they're going to put him in jail. They're going to, it's more like a coup instead of an impeachment. And I'm just wondering what the heck is going on. Have you seen that today?
yes, I have. I've seen some postings. There have been some people that I'm friends with on Facebook that were posting that. And yeah, it looks like some of them are getting ready for action. And I tell you what, a lot of these guys are former military. These are not people to be taken serious, lightly. These are the real deal. Okay.
Right.
And I've seen different videos on YouTube about what would happen if there was a liberal versus conservative civil war in this country. And it basically just shows the conservatives just pretty much beating the liberals into the ground in no time. And I can see that because they just are going to be better trained, because most of them are former military and all that. So you can't, that's hard to go up against.
Right. And I was just wondering, do you think, and this is all just supposition, we're just talking,
Right.
I mean, with this
Right.
being said, do you think Trump would ever step out of office because of it all?
No, because he's been working too hand in hand with the Kenites themselves. And even when he first became president, there were stories about him being the first, quote, Jewish president, because he had so many Jewish people in his cabinet. There were stories about that. And I don't think that they'll ever get him out of there. First of all, what they're trying to impeach him for is literally something you can't impeach him for.
Right.
So that's one thing. All right. This whole impeachment thing is really being driven more by the media and not really by Nancy Pelosi so much. I think she's just going along with it because she has to play the game.
Right.
So I don't think she really has her heart into this, because she knows it's how stupid this is. But what I do think is that all this impeachment talk, because impeachment is a very, very serious thing.
Right.
And once you start to go down this direction, I think this is their big misdirection play to get you focused on that rather than other things.
Rather than Iran and all that going on.
Right. And all the financial collapse and all this other stuff that's going on in other corners, they want you to concentrate on this. So you start using the word impeachment, and then it starts to, get people sidetracked. And a lot of people are too invested on either side to realize that they're just being used.
Right. And that's why anytime, as Against the Flow has said, anytime you have smoke screens going up to deter you from something is when you need to look harder, because they're trying to cover up what they're really doing. That's getting really serious when they do something like that.
Oh, it's very serious. And again, they're turning up the heat. And who do they have doing this? It's all the media that's running this show. And I think it's such a joke too, because remember, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when The Apprentice show was the #1 show on TV, these exact same people that are tearing him apart right now are saying, oh, you have such a wonderful show, and oh, it's just so original, and blah, 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 and really sucking up to the guy. Then he runs for president. Oh, you're the worst scum in the world. It's like, what? These people are so
Right.
two-faced.
Right. Oh, I had my Mic muted. Right, you're right. But see, this is also where, and a lot of people are going to get angry at me saying this, but Trump's playing along with it too, because he makes very big deals about the fake media, which, well, okay, fine. But he's doing this right along with the Democrats. I mean, this isn't something that it's like, oh, you know, they're all just coming down on Trump and this and this. This is something that's planned between all of them, is how I see it. And he plays right along into it also, creating that division.
Well, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all on the same page. So they're all working together, whether it's Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. They're all on the same team. You know, they're all taking orders from the same place. So, you know, why wouldn't they be different? You know, they all going to be on the same page and doing that.
Right.
So,
right.
You know, it's a lot of hype. You know, there's really what people don't realize is the president of the United States is the number one law enforcement person in the United States. It's his duty to make sure that the country is safe. And if he thinks that something corrupt or something like that is going on elsewhere, like in Ukraine, he has every right to be able to call the Ukrainian president and talk to them about that. That is well within his rights of being president.
Correct.
You can't impeach him for that. Even though that person that they might have been investigating might be a political candidate, which might sound a little fuzzy, it really is still within his rule of law to be able to do that, and his duties to be able to do that.
Right. He was within the law for what he did.
Right. Exactly. That's what he did.
But
yeah, against the flow. His daughter studied the Kabbalah and all that, and his daughter too. I mean, she's learning Judaism, converting to Judaism. So that's not a surprise.
His daughter converted. Kushner's wife converted 2 years ago.
Yeah, she's done that for a while.
Right. And that comes as no surprise, because you see that Trump is very much in line with Israel, very much in line with the anti-Semitism, and very much in line with the Talmud laws.
Yeah.
Not Christianity.
Yeah, exactly.
Not Christianity.
Yeah.
Because the Talmud,
no,
the Talmud actually makes Christianity punishable by death.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's just insane. You know, I don't really believe in a lot of these Mad Max scenarios that people talk about all the time. You know, you see some of these prepper channels and other things like that, and I think they go a little overboard on some of that stuff. Not to say that there can't be some incidents here and there. Okay, you know, South Side of Chicago might be a pretty crazy place in a while. You never know.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be a total breakdown of society where we're all trying to hide out in a cave somewhere with a case of water and 2 cans of beans. I don't think it's going to be like that.
No, I don't think so either. But did you also hear today that they're talking about a possible Los Angeles evacuation?
Yeah, some people are predicting a California earthquake, and a rather sizable one at that. And I've always kind of wondered about that in my back of my mind, because we know how they do things in California. It's always as anti-biblical as they can be.
Right.
So we know
they
that they're
act
always
like
bucking the
Goyim.
trend.
Right.
Yeah, they really do. So they'll double down on it no matter how bad it is. They'll double down on it. They'll double down on their failure. And I tell you, if you want to see something repulsive, do a search for the Folsom Street Fair in San Francisco. And the stuff you will find will absolutely make your hair stand straight on end. It is a very shocking state-sponsored and also City of San Francisco sponsored event. And it is as wild and sick and disgusting as you can possibly imagine.
Wow. I'm going to have to look into that, I think.
Yes, I can't even it's so bad I can't even describe it here. Okay. It is, you better be, if you're going to look at that, make sure you do it on an empty stomach.
Well, I know that they were talking about, there was an earthquake that was 200 miles today, or I think it was today, from Los Angeles, and that they have a Diablo nuclear plant that's up on this mountain, and they say if that earthquake comes anywhere near that, which they're expecting it to, it won't be able to handle it, and that the basically almost all of California will become radioactive, and people are asking, do we evacuate in Los Angeles? Should we leave? Should we go? That's a lot of people to have to evacuate, and where are they going to go?
That's the other question. First of all, how are you going to get 20 million people or 14 million people out of LA? That's one. And then two, where are you going to put them? Where are they going to go? I mean, even here in Phoenix, we don't have the facilities to handle 14 million people.
No, and plus it's not just that. I mean, you've got a lot of, and I'm going to say it, illegal aliens in that area also. So it's probably more like 50 million people.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a tremendous. It's about, I think it's 37 or 40 million people officially, something like that in California.
Right.
But I have to agree with you. I think with all the undocumented people there, I think it's probably much higher.
Right. So it's kind of like, wow, I guess we'll just have to see. I know that Arizona was preparing to take in quite an influx of Californians. They had their plans, where they were going to put them, where they're going. I just don't see how they're going to absorb that many people.
You can't. I mean, look, we're set up to absorb a lot of people because we have a lot of snowbirds that come down here every winter. So in cities like Mesa, for instance, there are about 250,000 snowbirds that invade the city every year between about October and April. And so we're used to high influxes of people and all that. But then we're talking 250,000. We're not talking 40 million here.
Right. Right.
And there's a ton of hotels here. I mean, next to Las Vegas, we've got a lot of hotels here because all these tourists come out here in the wintertime, and there's just a million 5-star hotels everywhere. And even with all that, you could easily fill them up in no time at all. It would be, and the prices would go through the roof. I don't know how anybody would even afford them, except the super wealthy.
Right. Well, and I do also, I don't know if anybody watches the American Joe show, but he's actually an Army veteran, and he has basically stated, and you can see it on his show right now, he has a group of militias that he's with, and he called them out, and he's actually asking more to join, and he has a number to text OBC to 53445, and he's calling out retired military people that are out on duty, and they actually left. They have already left and gone to their positions.
Yeah, I know some people of the militia myself, and they're still around here right now, but I haven't talked to them recently. But I know that they're members of the 3 Percenters.
Right.
And that's a very large organization, very large.
Right. Well, I think, and I try not to pay too much attention to, a lot of this stuff, but you have to kind of, when I see it popping up all over and not just in one place, and I actually see, they're saying, yes, call this number, text this number, we're moving now. I believe that something like that is happening, and that they feel that it's time to try to protect our country and our Constitution is what they're saying, because that's well within our rights of the Constitution to do so. That's what militias are for. So it's gotten to the point where our militias are feeling the need to protect, which they're saying to protect our president and our Constitution. I don't know, they're saying it's gotten down to that point where it's time. And they've dispatched. I believe it.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the early stages of that. I mean, it just everywhere you look, everything is coming together.
Right.
I mean, things are happening. It doesn't matter where you look, it's all getting crazy.
Right.
Look at what's happening in the schools. Look what's happening just in people in general. When you go out and do something, it's just a regular freak show out there nowadays.
Right.
And, I mean, I always take precautions too on my own personal security when I go out in public anywhere, and I'm very well protected, and and plus I live in a very Second Amendment friendly state in Arizona.
Right. And then I wanted to ask you too, because I know you follow it. How are I hear that the Dow went extremely low today. How's everything going on the financial end? Do you have anything to kind of alert us about, or?
Well, what I am seeing is that between yesterday and today, the stock market went down about 800 points. And that's mainly because of poor hiring, because nobody has any sales going on. So you have skeleton crews working everywhere. And the other thing is that the manufacturing indexes are all down. There are certain levels, they talk to all these manufacturing companies, and they try to get an idea of how much they're sending, how much they're making, and orders they're coming in, all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure what the formula is on that. But all these numbers are down. You don't want a PMI rating of under 50. That's considered minimal, just kind of break even. And right now it's at 47. So that is a very big sign right there. And that's why the stock market is reacting the way it is, because that's a bad number.
Right, and from what I'm reading, they're not expecting it to go back up. They're expecting it to plummet more.
Right. And I'm hearing all kinds of stories about real estate going down 95% of its value.
Ooh.
I'm hearing stories about just about everything going upside down.
That's not good.
Yes, and even cryptos against the flow. You're right there. The crypto market has been taking a big hit too. I'm not the biggest fan of cryptos.
No.
I don't. You can make money off of it. I mean, you could jump in there and probably make some money off of it, but at its very heart, you don't want to do it long term. You want to do it more kind of day trader style, where maybe you get in and then maybe 3 days later you get out with your profit, and then buy something more substantial with it afterwards.
Yeah,
but you could make some money with it, but nothing long term. You got to think short term. You got to think more day trader on that kind of thing.
But as I think it was AMTV, he was talking about there's only so much crypto that was made, or however they do it, and there isn't any more. So what's sold is sold, and what's done is done. And I just find that to be a iffy market, and just not a good thing to get into.
Well, it's just as fake as the monopoly money that we use right now.
Right.
There's nothing really backing it up. It isn't like, for instance, you might not know this. This is kind of interesting. Let's say you buy a Powerball lottery ticket and you happen to win. Well, this is how it actually works if you win something like that. The Powerball lottery will pay you, but then they actually pay the state first, and then the state that you live in will pay you. So your state kind of acts as an agent between you and the Powerball lottery. Now, if the Powerball can't pay you, the state has to guarantee the money, so then they pay you instead. Okay, so that's how they guarantee it.
Wow.
And if the state doesn't have the money, this is how it goes. Then you are first in line as a creditor for that state. So let's say you have $50 million coming your way. You have $50 million worth of state assets that are earmarked for you. So it's kind of a crazy system. But this is how they do some of this financial stuff. It's just amazing what the ideas that they come up with on this.
I didn't even know that. Wow, that's kind of like I don't know. That's what do they say? Combobble. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's a crazy thing, and I like hard assets myself. If I had a lot of money to invest, I would be in hard assets. I'd even buy some overpriced real estate if I could pay cash for it.
Right.
That would be the only way I'd buy real estate at this time.
Yeah,
And
loans.
precious metals are always great. Precious metals and any kind of products of any kind, especially popular products, are the way to be right now.
I was thinking on our other conversation, one good thing to have to trade for commodities would be bags of tobacco. Because people are going to want their cigarettes. I know I will. So to have those pre-roll machines and tubes and bags of tobacco, boy, I bet that'll trade you for something nice. And coffee.
It probably would. Yes, coffee, definitely. Diana's here now. Okay.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Diana.
Shalom. Shalom, Diana. We have a missing...
Yeah, I mean, almost any, like I say, any physical product would be a great thing to have. Any kind of physical product.
Right, but I really think tobacco, boy, that's probably a good one. I think that's funny. But, Diana, we have a missing person. We have an olive branch we're looking for. She is somewhere out there, and I don't know where Miss Olive Branch went, but she is here. I'm about to put out a missing report on Olive Branch. Are you there? So she's there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her. You know, I thought we were going to have a three-way conversation here tonight like we did last night.
Right, I thought so too. She's probably given Mama some medication because her mom's not doing too well right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually texting her. But she usually tells us that she'll be back in about 10 minutes or... And I think let me check, I still see her in Zoom, but she has disappeared for the moment, so something could have happened with her mom. So I did want to give a shout out to Miss Bree, because Bree this morning, I think about 4 a.m. my time, donated $10 to the stream. And I just wanted to really, 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 really thank you, Bree, for your donation. It means a lot to me, and that helps to be able to upgrade equipment. It takes a lot of stuff to run these shows, and a lot of work into researching things and putting things together. And I just want to thank you for that donation. It means the world, and God bless you. Thank you. That was just that was amazing, Bree. Thank you.
That's very nice of her to do that.
Yeah, it was. And Against the Flow, we miss you, Olive. Yeah, you guys, start yelling for Olive. Where the heck is she? I'm going to have to get the buttons out on her.
Yeah, I know. She might be hiding out like Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah. Jeez. I don't know where the heck she went, but that's okay. So, she'll be back here in a minute. I know she won't leave us forever. So what else do we got on the news block here? Trying to look. Do you have any kind of other news breaks or anything you think's important to bring up, or anything that's going on that's striking, kind of our economy or anything like that?
Now, everything seems to be kind of like the way it has been here for the last few days. What I am noticing a lot more is the swings, like in the stock market, are getting to be bigger and bigger all the time. And I'm also seeing that in precious metals too, with gold and silver. They get hammered down and then they go right back up again. So they're all these paper contracts, all these derivatives out there they're using to try to drive down the price of gold and silver, because if the price of gold and silver goes up, then people stop buying these Wall Street products where they get their commissions. So they don't want that to happen, at least yet.
Right.
But at some time, what they'll want to do is drive that up, because it'll be in their best interest, because those stocks and bonds are going to be worth nothing. So they're going to want to try to capitalize and drive it up. So it's like I say, everything is all going to come together all at the same time. We're going to see political stuff happen at the same time, financial stuff, who knows what else. It's going to be a crazy time.
Right. I agree with you. And I think Diana says financial, that's my background. Well, Diana, if you ever want to come on and talk with us, you can jump in here, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. And John's really good in it. I mean, I bet you guys could get rip-roaring on that. So don't ever feel scared. You can always jump in.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Diana, that's a valuable thing to have. I'm just self-taught when it comes to financial. So if you have an actual college education in finance and all that, that'd be very valuable to add to the conversation.
And John, I'm going to let you respond to Gulp, what Gulp just said about the world bond market.
Yeah, the debt markets, they've been in free fall here for the last couple of days. That's, here's the whole thing about the economy. It's basically it's one giant Ponzi scheme is what it is. If you go back in history just a little ways, you go back to the time that George Bush II took office, the national debt was about $5 trillion at that time. After he got out of office, it was 10 trillion. Obama comes in at 10 trillion and then leaves, and it's 20 trillion. So they have to keep spending more and creating more and more debt to keep this Ponzi scheme going. And that's why you see these deficits going up. And now, if you think that they're spending a lot of money now, you ain't seen nothing yet. They are just going to throw everything they've got into this here at the last second, and it's going to be one wild ride. And the price of the value of the money is going to become just next to worthless.
Right. It's getting crazy, that's for sure. So, I mean, I'm excited, though, because the more crazy it gets, the more I know we're going to be ending this Earth age. So I'm okay with it. Let it happen.
Yeah, I tell you, I've had enough of this Earth age. I'm done.
Yeah.
Let's hang out at the temple for a while, okay? And let's do that, okay?
Yeah, that's definitely a better place to be for sure. So
yeah, I think we'll have a lot more fun conversations there. And it's just, I look forward to the millennium time and being around the temple and being around everyone else, and we'll be able to tell stories about what we were doing during this Earth age and all that. I think that's going to be so much fun.
Definitely, but we're going to have a lot of discipline going on out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be doing that too.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
A lot of teaching, and it's definitely going to be interesting times for sure. But I think what I'm going to do, if everybody is okay, I'm going to go to an intermission here for a few minutes because I'm going to try to get a hold of Olive and get her back in here because I know she had some really great things to say. So I'm going to go to break here, and I'm going to play some Christian uplifting music. This is a good time for everybody to get out there, go grab a cup of coffee, go to the restroom, do whatever you have to do, grab snacks, and then we're going to get into a few more things, but I want to go try to contact Olive. So I'm going to, let's see, intermission. I'll just leave it like that. The screen's not quite finished yet, but at least it says intermission at the top. So we're going to go to a quick break here, and we'll be right back.
Oh, Olive Branch just showed up.
Oh, well, boy, there you are. She's here. Okay, let me go back to that scene then.
Okay.
See, I told you she had to help her mom. I was right.
Yeah, well, I'm taking care of my elderly mother as well, so I know what that's all about.
Gulp says, do you think that we would not want to remember all the stuff that we put up with?
Well, that's a good question, too. I've thought about that, too. A lot of pain there, too.
Yeah.
What do you think on that?
I think we're going to just be glad that we made it and that we got through it.
Yeah.
And we're going to rejoice in the fact that we're living in the temple with Christ. I mean, it's going to be good for us. So.
Yeah, I think once we get to that dimension, and plus we're going to have our spiritual bodies back, and I think that's a total game changer as well. I think we'll be maybe a little more Mr. Spock-like, in that kind of sense. And I think we'll still have fun, be joking around and laughing and that too. But I think when it's time to get serious and get things done, and I think we'll have no problem doing that.
Hey, Olives, there she is.
I was going to say about our memories being erased. I view that as sin is being erased, because flesh is sin. And so I view that as sin as being erased, plus all the hard times that the saints have endured, the endurance of the saints. Because right now, you have those saints that are around the throne of God, and they're asking him how long.
Yeah.
So because they want their vengeance and they want their justice. And so when there's no more tears, our past is full of tears, whether there's victory or not, because we always have our victory. So that's how I view that, as sin being wiped out, all the hurt being wiped out, all the pain being wiped out, and there's no need for it, because we have our Heavenly Father, we have Christ, and the Holy Spirit, all three in one. That is Christ. And right there, so who would want those memories when you have your love of your life right there? True love that flesh will not even it's love that flesh can't even comprehend, because flesh love is fallible and God's love is infallible.
Right.
It's eternal. So that's how I view that. And and I also know that God feels our pain too. He endures it with us because he walks with us. And so I also think that's another reason why that our memories are going to be erased too. Basically, death and sin and all that is going to be erased. And we will be with our forever first love. So that's how I view it. That's what I have pondered on that, That's what I came up with. I could be wrong, but
right.
God could say, hey, no, that's not why. So that is man's opinion on that.
Right, exactly. We can look at things from a kind of a practical standpoint and kind of nuts and bolts standpoint. I have to agree with you. I think that is a more likely scenario. But of course, we have no way of guaranteeing that or knowing that is going to be the one. But, if there's no tears in heaven, who wants to remember their Uncle Charlie dying of cancer?
Right, exactly.
There are a lot of bad things that happen. And what about if somebody that you knew or a child of yours was killed in a car accident or some other catastrophic event like that, or an earthquake or a tornado or flood or something? There's a lot of bad things that happen. And I can't imagine, being reminded of that and still being happy.
Exactly. No, that's well said. That is well said.
It's just like when Pastor Murray is talking about, oh, there goes Granny down the lake of fire, going down the river on fire and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh, hey, how you doing, Granny? It just doesn't make any sense. And I look at it the same way.
Yeah, and we know it's a gift because he knows us better than we know ourselves and each other. So to me, that is a gift, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, and plus, I think too, you have to always remember, I think I can see it being a system like, let's say during the millennium, we will still be able to remember all these things. Okay, but I think after Judgment Day and all that, it might completely change around at that time. But I think we'll still have them for a while during that time. Yeah. But I think the danger is, like, afterwards, people might have some hard feelings about someone else because of maybe something they did during this earth age. And,
I totally agree, John. I totally
agree. Who are very famous right now and popular, I don't think are going to be very popular and famous in heaven. I think they're going to be, or in the millennium, I think a lot of people are going to say, you lied to me, or you misdirected me, and all that. So I think there's going to be a lot of upset people.
I think that there is too. I think that there is too.
I mean, just and just like the awkwardness. Imagine you're a young girl and you had an abortion, and then all of a sudden later on, there's a little trial with the person that was aborted and you're doing this, and you're confronted with that person.
Yeah, that's a pain. Yeah, that'll definitely bring tears.
Yeah, that's not something that'd be very pleasant to be part of. That's for sure, and we know that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen to a lot of folks, you know.
But then, what about and then if you want to go take it a step further, what about all the people, like all the teachers that said that, oh, nothing wrong with abortion, and people like Nancy Pelosi and other politicians and all that say, oh yeah, nothing wrong with that, and then you end up with that afterwards, that this situation with the person that was aborted confronting you, and then afterwards you say, hey, you told me that this was okay, you know, and they followed them. I think there's going to be a lot of very upset people at that time.
Yeah, there is. There are going to be a lot of upset folks because they lost their right to be a first fruit, basically. You know, they lost that right, and they're going to have to partake in the second releasing of Lucifer, because they still have to make that conscious choice. They still do. That's a battle that they are going to be a part of when Lucifer is released again for a short season.
Right.
And that is something that they were robbed of in this earth age, to stand for Christ and to be a part of what the prophets wanted to do and to see. And it's not only that the prophets wanted to just to see it, they also wanted to stand for God, to preach the word of God. They wanted to be, that's another reason why I think that the prophets wanted to be a part, you know, to be a witness.
Oh, yeah.
So, because I mean, what an honor that is, you know. So that's the bad thing about abortion, is that they lost that right to stand, and they're going to have to stand when Lucifer is released again.
Yeah, and you know, like everybody says, it's hard to imagine who's going to stand with that clown at the end, but I'm sure there's going to be some of them that do. I think the most likely ones that are going to do that are the ones that think that they have no chance. Let's say like a Hitler or somebody like that. Well, what else do I have to lose? I have no chance of making it, so I think they'll just join up with them just for one last blast, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But when I view people like that, Pelosi, I don't even see her in the millennium. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't even, it's so hard. But see, I'm not the judge, right? Okay, so I can't play judge.
Yeah.
That is just my flesh saying I cannot see her in the millennium. I can't see Hillary Clinton. I can't see him. You know, it's like my vision, I just can't see him. But that's up to God. You know, that's all his territory. You know, because... Yeah,
I think they'll be around for the millennium, but I think they won't make it past Judgment Day. That's for sure. And I'm not judging either. I'm just saying, if you go in with that kind of track record, and other people too, I mean, it's a lot of these bankers and so on. You go in with that kind of track record of what you've done and the pain that you brought to people like us.
Yeah.
Because most of the Shepherd's Chapel students I know are not living in $10 million homes. Okay. Most of them are just kind of barely squeaking by. That's how it usually works.
There you go. Very, very good. It's like it reminds me of Smyrna, and where Christ says, "But you are very rich, very rich."
Because you have the knowledge.
Yeah, you have a knowledge. And I want to address what Against the Flow said, but you have to remember what these prophets seen. They seen bad things. They experienced bad things. Like, just take a look at Joshua. You know, there's this ancient stone where it even shows that the giants feared Joshua. Okay, I mean, and look at Enoch. He was around the fallen angels. He was around the Geber. He's seen things that even we haven't even seen, and he stayed righteous by his faith. So yes, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, what we are going through now is a type of what they went through and what they experienced. They've seen all types of bloodshed. They've seen their brethren get murdered. They were murdered. I mean, they've seen wickedness and perversionness. I mean, they witnessed the actual Molech worship, those babies being burned alive. I mean, these are things that the prophets seen. And heck, they even witnessed, look at Moses, I mean, and how he delivered the Israelites, and through God. That was all God. Okay, so I worded that wrong, but you know, just to come down the mountain, just to watch them whore after false gods, you know, the golden calf.
That would have been a shock to see that.
Yeah, that would have been a shock to see that, you know, and that's something that, you know, that we say, oh, we cannot comprehend that, but we have been above and beyond blessed. We have been fed the hidden manna, and I mean, we have honestly been spoiled, right, in this nation, if you want to think about that, and look what people are doing in this nation. They spit in God's face. So there's nothing new under the sun. There really isn't. No. And so, yeah, the prophets, I mean, these are exciting times, and it is very exciting to be a soldier for God. Doesn't mean that you won't be nervous or any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. So, yeah, the prophets, they seen some bad stuff.
Oh, yes. And I would imagine too that people like the Apostle Paul is a little jealous of all the technology that we have now, where he had to write a letter and hope that it got to the people. And here we're doing a live broadcast with someone in Washington. I'm in Phoenix. You're in Oklahoma, and we're all communicating with each other. I mean, just think about what a tool that he could have used this for. You know?
Right? Exactly. That's exactly right. Amen to that. That's a good point. We are definitely so there's no reason. I mean, even though that there's a famine on the land, there is no excuse. If they really wanted to seek out the truth, all the sources are there.
Oh yeah. You know, I run into this all the time because I know a lot of computer people, and a lot of them are atheists. And it's so hysterical to listen to some of these people talk, because they think, oh, I have an iPhone, therefore I don't need those silly little stories. Now, that was for primitive people that didn't have any entertainment. You know, they have that kind of cavalier attitude.
I can't wait till
and it's just really, really, really bad. You know,
it is so bad.
It is going to be a big wake-up call for some of these people.
It's going to be and it's something that I try to keep on to prepare for, you know, and it's constantly a part of my prayers for my family and for my brethren, not to be a part of the deception, not to fall for the deception, because Christ shortened the time, and it was for the elect's sake, or else none shall be saved. I mean, that's how deceiving that is coming. It is nothing that like no man has seen or experienced. I mean, it's going to be heavy, hot and heavy. And so people really need to be so careful how they get on the pedestal and they toot their horn.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah.
Well, you know, I think too, like with that, they're going to be, so many people so poorly prepared, and they just, you know, they don't understand it. It's like when I was doing my research for a lot of this financial stuff, none of these people are Christians at all. They're not taking that into consideration whatsoever. where, like for us, we can add that added dimension to it and get a clearer picture of everything. We can take political stories and get a clearer picture of it because we know how to do that.
And that was so well said, John. That was so well said.
Thank you. You know.
Well, Against the Flow, I am 35. I had to count there for a minute. I stopped counting after 34. So it's a good thing it's only a year after. It's 35.
I'm probably the old man in here. I'm 57.
That's not that old, though. That's pretty good.
I'm only 29.
You're only 29?
Yeah, every year.
That is every year. That's so funny.
every
No,
year for like
really.
11 years.
That's what I said I'm going to do at 34. I'm just going to stop counting because I always forget my age, right? Because it's not like I walk around telling folks, hey, I'm 35, I'm 35. You know, so I have to count.
It's different when you're 16. You want to tell everybody you're 16 so you can start driving.
Yeah, that's what I'm nervous for because my son's really excited. He's 10, like he's so ready to drive, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, Diana's just behind me then. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I really have enjoyed you, John. I really have.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just happened to come in here. I was thinking, Mel, maybe they're doing another broadcast tonight, so I thought I'd check in, and here you were. So
Yeah, you ought to join in sometime on Praise. He goes live. It's Praise I Am That I Am. And I usually go on his stream too, but he hasn't been feeling that well. So that's why he hasn't been going live. So, but I have enjoyed this because me and he does other things too. Like he covers like a broad, like he's more of like an encyclopedia. He's very smart. Praise is very smart, and he goes under all aspects. He does everything. So like in world views and evolution and all that kind of stuff. And I've learned about fallacies and all that kind of stuff. And there's so many different types of fallacies. It'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Like, oh, that's that type of fallacy. Oh, that's that type of fallacy. I just call them fallacy schmallacies.
yeah. Well, Against the Flow has a good thing there. Trump has Kushner working with an Israeli company to develop a cryptocurrency. Speaking of cryptos, have you seen that, Facebook wanted to do this Libra thing, and now some of their base supporters are starting to pull out, like MasterCard and American Express and a few others. They're starting to pull out of this deal. So I think the Libra might not ever occur because the main contributors to it are backing out. They were told to back out is what I think happened. And you might have something there Against the Flow with maybe
these are stuff that you definitely have
that they're going to use instead. Now, I'm not a big believer in the cryptos, mainly because most people don't even understand how cryptos work and all that. Now, digital currency is different. I think if there's going to be a digital currency, it's going to be like a debit card, credit card type thing because everybody knows how to use it,
Oh, I wanted to tell you guys, the stock market has been dropping. Have you guys heard about that? And I know that it's done this before, but there are folks that are talking about that it might not rebound because of all this stuff that is going on with Iran and China, and with all these sanctions and people not getting along. I mean, it has dropped. The market has dropped 494 points. I might lose my $2. That's so funny. My mom's cracking jokes over here. But, yeah.
It went down about 800 points in 2 days.
And so yeah, you know about that, John. That's a big drop. And they're saying that they don't know if this will rebound. Do you think that it's going to rebound, or
Well,
whatever that term is?
It's always going to yo-yo. Okay, so just because there's a couple of down days doesn't mean that there's going to be down day after down day. Now, at some point there probably will be, but I don't think that's quite yet.
Ask him about Lockheed Martin if that stock dropped.
Oh, do you know about the Lockheed Martin stock?
No, I did not hear about that.
No, he does not know about
So
that.
he doesn't know if it dropped.
No, I'll have to look at that, Mama.
Yeah.
She's so funny, Dosey.
Well, the Dow futures right now, I'm looking at it right now. I brought up the Dow futures, and they are up about 77 points at this time. S&P and the NASDAQ futures are up slightly, and that doesn't mean anything because I've gone to bed with them up about 150, and then I wake up, they're down 300 in the morning. So
Exactly. And did you know that the elite, like your Rothschilds and all of that, they pulled out of all these stocks last year? Year they pulled out, and I think that that Boot Scootin' Poopin', he pulled out too, and he bought gold.
yeah, that's what they're all doing. In fact, there's been a record-setting pace of executives from big corporations pulling out money like crazy and selling off their stocks. They're all bailing out right now, every single one of them.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
No.
That's not a good sign. If they're popping out, and they love that almighty dollar, that's their hero.
Well,
So-
on the flip side of that, though, that is a good sign because that means this shit's ending.
Yeah. And all these systems, like the stock market and that, they were designed to fail from the very beginning.
Right?
Oh yeah, it's all a big Ponzi scheme.
It is. You're right. There you go. It's a big Ponzi. Boy, that was well said, John. That's a good point.
That reminds
It's kind of an upside down. It's kind of an upside down Ponzi scheme because every president has to outspend the previous president and keep creating more and more debt to keep the game going. Just like in a Ponzi scheme, when you have to have more and more people to pay off your first people that you conned into it, they have to do the same thing, but they have to do it by creating more and more debt.
I gotcha. That is interesting.
Yeah, that's how that works. So.
And I'll be right back in 2 minutes.
That reminds me of that movie, and I can't remember what it's called, but he all of a sudden gets promoted to CEO, and he comes into work one day, and everybody's shredding papers, and papers are flying all over the office, and it was a big Ponzi scheme. Do you remember what movie that is?
Oh boy,
What movie
it
is
sounds
that with
familiar.
the
I can't
Ponzi
remember.
The Ponzi scheme and the papers going everywhere?
In fact, pointing up to Diana's comment here, the market is a bunch of day traders playing with numbers. That's a lot of it too, and a lot of it's just algorithm trading too. It's all computers trading with each other. How stupid is that?
Right, that's the Ponzi scheme, and I think it might have been Having Fun with Dick and Jane. I'm not sure.
Could have been something like that. That was a long time ago.
That's a good movie, though. But that was a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, against the flow, let me respond to, they're talking about negative interest rates, and they're doing that in other countries, which is true. They are doing that in other countries. Now, what I found here, this is what I found kind of interesting. Because of the derivative market, which I'm not going to try to explain right now, but because of the derivative market, I have heard that you can't have negative interest rates in the United States, and that's why we don't have negative interest rates, because of the way a lot of banking is done. It's a lot of loans between banks, and if they had negative rates, that means that the one side would be paying on both ends. So usually it's like one side, I'll give you $1 trillion at 1.5% interest, and then you pay me back by repaying the $1 trillion with 1.25% interest. So we're kind of paying each other, is how it works. And with negative rates, I would be paying you on both ends of that. So I'd be paying you up front, then I'd be paying you again. And then that would just collapse the entire derivative market in this country. That's what I've been told. So, and that comes from a guy that is very familiar with derivatives.
Right. Well said. So basically, I want to go ahead and enter into the last part of this live stream here, and just thank you for everybody that's come in here. But if anybody has any questions about what we went over today, anything they want to ask John, any specifics anybody would like to just get out or say anything, now's the time to kind of have our question and answers segment here, because I will be ending the live show here probably in about 5 to 10 minutes. I got to get going, so. Or if anybody has anything to add that we didn't go over or anything like that, would be a great time to do that now. I thank everybody for coming in here, and pretty much we've kept everybody that came in has pretty much stayed, so that's a really, really good sign.
Yeah, it is, because we've had a pretty consistent 10 or so the whole time. That's great.
Isn't that, I think it's awesome. And plus, my internet has, buffered a little bit, but blessing it definitely helped, because I think we've stayed online. We haven't buffered out too bad, and I think it's been a real blessing.
Yeah, and Diana, to your response there about the New World Order, I believe you're exactly right on that.
Yes, what did she say? It will eventually fail. Well, but the New World Order, though, doesn't ever come in fully until Lucifer comes here.
Yeah,
so.
it's kind of there, but not quite all there.
Right.
I mean, it's like 95% there, but just not quite 100%.
All right. They almost had it. Oh, there's praise. I
Yeah.
am that I am. How you feeling, Praise? I heard you're sick. That's nice that you stopped by. Oh, long time friend of mine. Back in my 20s, actually. So.
Oh, okay.
Long time ago. So, if anybody has anything else they want to say, John, if you want to end with anything that you feel is important that people need to start doing, getting things together, refresh their memories of the, maybe what they should be doing right now.
Well, from a financial standpoint, what I would highly recommend doing is trying to get as debt-free as possible. I know that can be tough, but that's the first thing I try to do. If you have to choose what to pay down, try to pay down any variable interest rates like credit cards first. Try to pay them down. Try to get rid of as much of it as you can. Try to have a little cash on hand. Try to have some precious metals. Think about your security, things like that too. Make sure you have food on hand and other kind of common personal products that you might need, toothbrushes and so on, that kind of thing, deodorant, whatever else, bars of soap, all those kind of daily products that you need. And just have them on hand, and it'll be a lot easier to get through all this if you have all those things.
Yeah, definitely. And food storage also. I think,
Yes, they want to have the food.
Right, and even if you can just go get the simple things. I was looking today on the shelf, and I was like, oh, look, a bag of beans is $1.29. Look, a bag of rice. Anytime you can just take that extra $2, and instead of buying a pack of gum or a candy bar, grab rice, beans, canned items, but I don't know how long canned items last. They last for a while, but just make sure.
Yeah, they last for a couple of years.
Right.
Yeah, they last for about 2 years. Personally, I think you can probably get 3, 4, 5 years out of them, but they have to put a date on it.
Right.
Remember, that's usually a maximum freshness date is what they're talking about. It doesn't mean that it's going to go bad after 2 years. It just means that it's probably going to taste the best if you use it within 2 years.
Right, but I think if you're hungry, you probably won't care. But I just
Yeah.
think it's important. Go get that oatmeal. Go get rice. Go get beans. Go get your personal products. Go get anything that you can find on sale. Even if you think, well, I don't need it. Well, you might need it later, or you might need to use it for trade. So I would just suggest.
Yeah, and also too, look at having like medicines and that too, even just things like Tylenol and alcohol and bandages and just basic medical stuff, because going to the doctor might not be an option for a while.
Right. And I've always said this every time we talk about it. Go get yourself a couple gallons. It's very cheap of apple cider vinegar with the mother, because that helps to get rid of a lot of fungal infections. It cleanses. You can drink it. You can cleanse your kidneys, your bladder, a lot of different things, because like you said, you might not be able to go to the doctor. So apple cider vinegar is like primo in my house.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And Diana, that's a nice comment there too. Yeah, the credit cards are kind of a necessary evil these days, but keep them at a zero balance if you can. And my parents also went through the Depression as well, and I've learned a lot from them too, and stocking up is a very good idea.
Yes, I agree. And for those people who aren't, near water sources like I am, I've got water all over the place that I can boil up. But water's definitely an important thing. And, for if you've got babies, don't forget formula. Don't forget dry milk, stuff like that. Don't forget about your kids, your pets. Don't forget pet food.
No.
Stock up on their stuff that they need. Kitty litter if you have to. Dog food, some dog snacks, whatever will get us through. Don't forget about your pets. Fish, whatever you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any pets, and so it's just myself and my elderly mother. So that's all I have to worry about, which is good. And we're pretty well set. We're ready for battle.
Right, so am I. I'm ready to get the heck on with it and get out of here and get to that temple. I've had it, for sure. Oh, Diana,
Yeah.
you're right. Iodine is very important. Yes, iodine. You're right. Vitamins, too, would be another good thing to do. Stock up on some vitamins.
Yes. I always keep extra bottles of vitamins around, because at least with the multivitamins, at least you got something, because you never know what your diet might be. It might be a little lacking in some area if you're surviving on ramen noodles and oatmeal for a while. You might not get all the vitamins you need.
Well, I might just go outside and start grazing in the grass, so you never know.
Yeah, I know. Well, I grew up on a dairy farm, so I've seen plenty of grass grazing, that's for sure.
Right. I'm looking.
And don't forget worms, because worms are good for blood clots.
Oh,
Yeah.
Olive, I thought we talked about this. No worms.
They got some ketchup in there.
Oh!
That's so funny.
Why don't you just eat the slugs on my doorstep? That'll work. Yuck.
When you were a kid in school, you never ate a worm.
No.
I did when I was a kid in school. I was in elementary school, and this person, they told me there was some ketchup inside the worm.
Oh my
And I
God.
believed that kid, and I took a bite out of a worm. I did.
And no ketchup.
It was an
huh?
earthworm.
No ketchup.
No ketchup. And I spit it out
Amber,
because
she believed everything.
Hey, I've got a good one for you. Here. Speaking of worms, I saw one of the strangest things that you probably could ever see. I actually saw baby worms being born.
Ew.
No way.
Wow.
Yes.
And what did it look like?
It was really strange, because we had this big maple tree in the yard, and I happened to be standing next to it, and I was just kind of looking around, and I saw a worm crawling around on the ground. And it had like these 3 little white, like 1/4-inch long like mini worms in it, and they were babies. And I actually saw them come out of the worm.
Now that's kind of cool though. John.
Yeah, I think I was about 10, 11 years old when I saw that.
And that makes it even more cool, being a kid and seeing worms being born. That is actually really cool.
Yeah.
John,
No,
I
it's just-
seen this dog. He drank this gasoline at the gas station, and he ran around like a crazy
Hi,
dog.
one way.
And I was trying to get the kids in the car, and then the dog just laid down and closed his eyes.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that gasoline would be too good for a dog or anything, really.
Well, he just closed his eyes.
You know, my brother used to be into eating grasshopper.
Hold on, Al. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Well, he just laid there and closed his eyes.
Did he die from that?
No, he ran out of gas.
Oh,
That's the joke, and she got me
Oh,
good. That's one of her
there you go.
favorite jokes. You get it, the dog. He drank a whole bunch of gas, and then he went crazy. He laid down, and then the person's supposed to say, "What happened?" And then you go, "Well, he ran out of gas."
I took that literal. That's why I didn't get it.
yeah.
Well, the worm story was the best I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, when I was living back in Wisconsin, it would rain, and then all the night crawlers would come out on the blacktop, and I just pick them up, and then I'd go fishing afterwards.
Oh, I bet you caught some good trout, huh?
Oh, we got all kinds of fish, especially with night crawlers. Man, they're so big. Man, they were great.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the young kids back there, they'll go out there, and like the 12, 13-year-old boys will go back there, and they'll catch a bunch of night crawlers like that, and then bring them to the bait shops and turn around and sell them to them. Make
Oh,
money.
yeah. Have you ever been to Colorado?
Oh, I've been in Colorado several times.
Have you ever been to Broomfield?
I don't think so.
My brother was the mayor of Broomfield for years and years.
But that doesn't really say much though, because
Yeah,
we
Bill
didn't.
Behrens,
but,
Berens.
but we didn't talk. We didn't care for
Yeah, he was a bad egg.
him.
But you should look him up sometime. He died a couple of years ago with cancer, though.
Oh, okay.
But my brother was Bill Behrens, and he used to sell worms when he was a kid.
Yes, and Diana's from Michigan originally. I'm from Wisconsin originally. I know exactly what you're talking about, Diana.
Yeah.
Lakes and rivers everywhere where I lived, up in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, I lived in Minnesota for a while, and that's a lot of lakes.
Oh yeah. Where in Minnesota were you?
I was in Prior Lake.
Oh, I know where that is. Yeah.
My uncle is, his father was the chief of the Sioux Indians there, and then he passed away, and then he got the chief title, so they ran like that casino. That's a huge casino there, and I tell you, they get, which is almost just insanity, and now his boys get it too. They get $45,000 a month handed to them from that casino. $45,000 a month. That's over $1 million a year for doing nothing.
Is that Mystic Lake?
Yes, Mystic Lake Casino.
Yeah. I
You
know that
it.
tribe just cleans up. That tribe cleans up with that place.
It's insanity.
I'm very familiar with that place.
Yeah, I mean, they've got houses and from.
And what do they do for $45,000 a month? For what do they do?
Nothing.
Probably get drunk every day.
Nothing. They just travel.
So they
the
just
world.
make that kind. No, so that's just like just a check that they get.
That's their dividend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Are they Indians?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
my aunt married a Sioux man, and so her husband and then her children are Sioux, and they get $45,000 a month. It's insanity.
Yeah.
A month?
A month.
A
Yeah.
month?
A month.
Yeah. They were getting 100,000 at one time.
Yeah. Well, actually they're getting more now, because what happened was depending on where you are in the tribe is depending on how many people is how much money you get. So they started killing each other so they would get more money. So there was less Indians, so they got more of a dividend, which is terrible.
It's a very small
my
tribe. I know that.
gosh.
Yeah, it's a very small tribe.
I mean,
What about the bigger tribe?
Sioux is one of the biggest tribes, though, if I'm not mistaken.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
And they're
Well, what about like the Navajos and the Cherokees and all them? Do they get $45,000 a month?
No.
No.
Most of these others, that's an aberration for most of them. I used to work as a dealer in a casino in Turtle Lake, Wisconsin called the St. Croix Casino. And it was run by the St. Croix Chippewa. And they didn't get that kind of money at all. In fact, I think they barely got like $1,000 a month or something like that. It really wasn't a big amount of money.
The Sioux Indians are among the richest. So I know because when my first marriage was to a Indian guy from Northern California, the Yurok tribe, and they didn't get anything because their casino, they kept building their casino in the middle of a floodplain, and it kept washing away every year. So they really never, and they just kept putting it back. You know, you figured you'd move it, but
I'm so sorry. It's so funny. They just kept putting it back.
yeah, I just kept looking at it. I'm like, really? You do know that's leaving again, right? You should just put it on a boat. You wouldn't lose it.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's genius management for you.
Right. I know that when they turn 18, they all get money. So my daughter, I think she actually gets money. Oh, she's 18. She should check into that. But they get money when they turn 18. So there's a dividend that's saved from them from a lawsuit that they got. And I don't remember what the lawsuit was, but they split it among the tribe, and everybody gets a certain amount of money when they turn 18. So, yeah, interesting.
Wow. I still can't get over these Sioux or whatever they're called.
Well, you know, the thing of it was is I love my cousin. He's actually still out there, and I can't find him. But I spent a lot of time with him growing up and living in my aunt's house. And, of course, their houses were mansions, and we'd go here, we'd travel there, and money was not an option. We decided to go to Passover when I was 14, and she goes, well, we need something to go in. And I'm thinking, okay. So she went out and bought like a $350,000 motorhome just to go to Passover in, and then never used it again. I just sat there, and I'm like, what? You know, but they had to get the top of the line. I mean, we'd take off and we'd say, well, where do we want to go shopping today? Well, let's go to Colorado and hit all the Tommy Hilfigers. So we'd get a Tommy Hilfiger map out, and we'd figure out where all the stores were. We'd catch a plane, and then we'd rent a Corvette or whatever we wanted, and then jump in there and just go shopping. It was insanity. I mean, money was like they had to spend it because it had something to do with the banks and taxes, and they had to give so much away, and it was crazy. They have houses in Hawaii. We spent summers in Hawaii. They have a ranch outside of Austin in Marble Falls, and I mean it was crazy. But the point being is, my aunt finally died of cancer, and my cousin Brandon is still out there, and man, I love him to death. I can't find him, but yeah, he had the chance to really do something great, like business-wise, or set something up, but they pretty much play video games. I don't know what he's doing now, but they travel. They've been to every country. They have, you know, houses and stuff all over. I just couldn't imagine being that wealthy. For free. I mean, for free.
And this is with the Sioux?
Yeah, the Sioux Indians.
Wow, that's not fair to the other Indian tribes.
It's not.
Well,
no.
the thing is, here's the reason why they're so successful. Okay, it's a microscopically small tribe. Okay, that's number one. The other tribes have a lot more members. That's two. But they're also located right outside of St. Paul and Minneapolis, Minnesota. So they've got a large population base that visit that casino all the time. It's always busy there. So that's why they do so well. And others are more in rural areas where they don't have as many people visiting them, so they don't make as much money.
Well, yeah.
And there's larger tribes on top of it.
Google the Mystic Lake Casino. It's a half skyscraper. That thing is massive, and I heard lately that they built onto it. I mean, the thing is huge. It's massive.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like a Vegas casino.
Right.
So they're basically making all this money, and they pay their tribe by the casino.
Yeah, they all get a percentage
well,
of it.
then folks are stupid to go into an Indian casino.
But they have gambling problems.
Oh, yeah.
there you
Yeah,
go.
they do. Believe me, I've worked in Las Vegas. I've lived in Vegas. I've worked in casinos. And I tell you, it is
it's a rat race.
You see some pretty sad cases.
Well, it just makes them richer and us
Wow.
poorer. I mean, if you think about it, like in Texas, gambling's illegal. You have to go to Louisiana to go gamble. I mean, the only places that this is legal is mostly on reservations because they're allowed to have casinos.
Yeah.
And that boy, they're
Right.
raking it in. I'm telling you, my cousin's filthy rich, and he doesn't even know what to do with the money. If that was me, and I got $45,000 a month, everybody around me would be okay. My family would have homes, a car, their bills paid. My dear friends, I wouldn't just sit there and buy myself a bunch of stuff. It's like the good people that would take care of their family and take care of who they need to take care of never get that $45,000 a month or never get that free money. That's how I see it. That just isn't there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's crazy.
I'm very familiar with the casino industry. It's a crazy industry, and working in Las Vegas was just an absolute. It's a crazy.
I
place
can't
to
even
work.
imagine.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, you just lose all track of time. I mean, it's like time stops when you work and live there. It just stops.
Sin
Because
City.
every day of the week looks exactly the same. And it is so easy to get caught up in a very not so good lifestyle that a lot of people, they can't survive it. That's why they can't live there for very long, because they just get too caught up in it.
Wow, that's so sad. That's so sad.
Now, there are a lot of cool things you can do. I mean, I like a lot of the restaurants there. There's some great food, and I've eaten at Caesar's a million times, and all these. I've had tons of Caesar's food, that's for sure, because I used to work for Caesar's, and it's just unimaginable. But when I used to go to work at Planet Hollywood, which is owned by Caesar's, you could eat before your shift, during your shift, and after your shift. They didn't care. All the food you wanted.
Wow.
So I would just go down there and eat during my breaks, and it's tough to watch a wasteland when you're working there.
Well, I bet. But wow, that's kind of cool though. But that's okay because all that stuff will be gone too, and we're going to be living rich in the end. So our turn is coming, and it's going to be better than having $45,000 a month. I'll guarantee that.
Right? Yeah. I don't really care about that almighty dollar, as long as like the bills and stuff. That's what I care about.
Well, I'd like to have food
I mean,
on my table. That's
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
I'm just saying. I mean, come on, just give me the bare necessities. Just food, a roof over my head, heat that works. I mean, I don't need $45,000 a month. I just need meals every day.
Yeah, exactly. I can't get over that 45,000 a month just because of a casino.
Yeah.
There must be a lot of folks that go into this casino.
Oh, you have no idea.
Oh yeah.
You have no idea. It's just packed all the time.
And at
Oh my
at
gosh.
Christmas time, because we had an antique store, Jolie Antiques, that my aunt, we would restore furniture from like the French Revolution, stuff like that. And we would sell this furniture in our store. And for Christmas every year, one year she made me dress up as a lit Christmas tree. So somebody made me, and I couldn't say no to my aunt. I had to do, or I'd die. So I was a Christmas tree made out of felt with a little pointy Christmas tree hat, a star on top that had a battery pack. I had all these lights all over me. And we had somebody dress up as a Santa Claus. She decided to go steal the little carts that you drive around the casino. And she put me as the Christmas tree in the back, Santa Claus, and she was driving us through the machines out into the gaming area as we were throwing candy. And they got really pissed, but they couldn't do much because her husband's the chairman of the board. And they're like, Suzette's out there with a car driving around with Santa Claus and a Christmas tree. And the whole time the battery pack kept shocking me. So I was getting shocked by my lights that were all over me. And then she made us stand out in front of the store, and we were wearing M&M costumes and playing a guitar, singing songs. So it was a very interesting time I had there. And I'm sure that they kept that on film. I'd love to get the film of that, but yeah. She was a nutcase. She was fun.
I would love to see that. I bet you were so cute.
No, I was humiliated, but yeah. But I mean, it was funny until she started driving into the machines and through the aisles where people were trying to gamble. It was quite the scene. And the guy that was in the M&M costume, his hair was through his nylons he had on, so it was very interesting. But
Oh my gosh, that is so
he
funny.
was quite an ugly peanut M&M.
So it's so funny. I have to tell you this, Alan, and you're gonna laugh. My mom many years ago worked at an Indian casino, and there was an Indian that was driving her on a golf cart, and he ended up taking the turn so fast because he was flying in the golf cart full pedal down. And as you know, that she flew out of that golf cart.
Oh,
She
no.
flew. She actually flew like a missile out of that golf cart. And she said, "This is it. I can't do this shit. I mean, I can't do this crap."
Right.
She had to go. She had to go because she was so hurt. She was hurt. But I still laugh about that because I can just see her flying out of a golf cart. That's so funny. This Indian driving the golf cart, she's flying. Oh my goodness,
That's
that
basically
image.
what
is
we
so
were doing
funny.
in that golf cart because my aunt was going so fast I could barely hang on. So yeah, I get it.
Oh my goodness, that's how when I take my dad to go golfing, that's how I drive the golf cart. He has to hold on.
That's funny.
That's so funny.
I
Yeah,
went back to Lockheed Martin.
yeah, but then she
I
went
love
back.
my job.
Yeah.
So I'm basically gonna need to end this this live broadcast. I'm really glad everybody came by, and I mean this has been really fun. And it's getting really cold where I'm sitting, so I'm gonna have to go to another room with the heater. I can't feel my feet at this point, so I'm gonna have to end this here.
Oh.
Okay.
It's too
Well, just one last
cold.
thing here. I want to just add one last thing. I have a new Facebook page, which is John Bance Live, and anybody can join it. And I'm doing some live videos every day on different things like finance and other stuff too, some computer stuff and other assorted things too. So that's on Facebook.
Well, don't
So
forget,
it's
Oh,
John
most
Bance Live on
definitely,
Facebook.
John.
John, make sure you put it in Chitter Chat News so everybody can see your advertisement.
Yeah, I'll put it in there too.
Yeah.
But I just want to say something here. So
All right.
Well, that was very good.
Well, I love everybody,
Okay.
and thank you for coming by and sticking with us. I mean, we've actually had a great audience tonight, and it's pretty much stayed that way. So apparently we were entertaining. That's great. And John, thank you for coming by. You're always welcome. You always add a great points. You're fun to talk with. Your financial advice is great, and you make us think about other things. And of course, my bestie Olive there. I mean, we just have fun and getting the truth out, laughing, and all sorts of stuff in between. One way, I am really glad you came by. That is awesome. Thank you. Don't ever not stop by. You never know what we're going to be talking about. So,
Yeah, it could be anything.
right. So, does anybody?
Mostly current events, though.
Right. Yeah, we're trying to keep our eyes on our enemy here because they're scuttling about. They're moving pretty fast. So
They are. They're moving very fast.
Right. All right, everybody. Well, I love you all, and if anybody has anything to say, now would be the time to do it. Anybody?
I'm good.
All right.
See you later.
All right. Well, Olive, I'll let you start our ending.
All right, everybody, here we go. Good night and God bless.
Good night, and
All right.
God bless, and Watchmen watch.